The bow, when you build it like this, is a bit good. Yeah, look, I know it's not gonna break any records, but I think you can agree that killing a mighty King Tusk in, 15 seconds with 3 detonations is pretty damn, well, potent. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, then, to my best Wild Hearts bow build, amplifying the most effective and deadly way to play the weapon. Now, of course, if you either don't want to play it like this or don't like playing it like this, then this build won't be as good for you, though it still contains a smattering of incredibly solid, universally effective bow skills that will make any way of bowing best. So what is that way of play? Let's go over that so that when we go through the skills, it kind of makes sense what we've chosen and why we've chosen it. Essentially, then, you play bow optimally by only using 2 of its functions. The double fortified horizontal volley, and then the aerial explosion shot that will detonate them. I know they have their higher and tired names and stuff, but honestly I don't trust myself to say them properly. This, in tandem, forms a cycle that is fast and brutal. And you can see just how fast and brutal it is. I am attacking this training dummy for 40 seconds. And in that time, I have done over 50,000 damage to it. And it's a small target, unlike most Kemono for the volley. Yes, of course, it takes massively more damage than most Kemono, but even in a world where a Kemono takes a third as much damage, doing about 18,000 in 40 seconds is enough to kill most Kemono solo. That is pretty damn ridiculous. So before we get on to general play tips and the Karakuri used and all of that good stuff, let's talk the armor. We're using the golden Tempest helm, the Lavaback chest, the Amaterasu arms and waist, and then finally the golden Tempest legs. This is essentially a very strong standard layout for any human path weapon that enjoys a bit of stamina and has a high usage time when it comes to basic Karakuri, and indeed bow fits both those to a T. In any case, then, this gives us a good base set of skills, but we'll go over the skills in detail soon. Talisman-wise, you essentially want anything that will increase your damage by stacking more with what the set already has, or bow unique specific skills, or any utility that you want. Talismans are much harder to specifically recommend you because of course most of them are random and you just have to apply the best that you can to the build that you're doing. The weapon then is of course where it's all at, and we'll ultimately be ending at the raw golden Tempest one, but the way to get there, I mean, I've taken quite the path and you don't need to take quite so complicated a path. I was doing a lot of experimenting before I settled on where I wanted to be. The primary takeaway here though is you want to end up with the final bow having as follows: 2 ranks of extreme archery, the 10% verve, and 6% sleight of hand fury. This is ridiculous. The highlight here is the 40% total extreme archery. And to put that in perspective, this is a side-by-side of how much volleying you can do with and without having this 40% stamina reduction in use. It is night and day, and it makes the weapon and it makes the playstyle, especially when you remember that you can iframe roll while volleying, and this is something that you will need to do to keep the pressure of the damage up on the Kemono, so having this extra stamina to play with not only makes that possible, it makes it incredibly comfy. So this really is where it's at, and then our Verve and our Fury is just essentially 16% more damage output, so that's really solid too. So if we have a rundown of our total skills specifically, then the ones that really matter here are that extreme archery 40% for that extra stamina usage, a little bit of savagery for just more pure output. We have ourselves a Karakuri coordination remedy, which again on this set is surprisingly effective at keeping you topped up. Every time you launch the detonation arrow from the glider, you will heal a chunk of health. That adds up over the hunt and really makes you a lot harder to kill. It's very, very nice. 22% Fury for 22% more damage for about 3-4 seconds after using a basic Karakuri. Ergo, every time we leap into the air with a glider, we activate the 22% extra damage, which yes, does mean all of your little explosion pops that have been embedded in the Kemono do explode for 22% more damage. They don't need to be stuck in while this is active, they just need to be detonated while it is active. Then we have another smattering of stamina skills, which is obviously great for the bow, and then finally 22% Verve, which is 22% more damage on full health, and 22% more defense on full health. Essentially the peak performance of Wild Hearts if you played Monster Hunter, but insanely better. Worth making sure you're at full health for, and our best way of gaining damage in a human path build, which we do need to be in. That said then, because we are using gliders like it's our job, we do have easy access to Healing Mist, which is definitely something you want to use on this bow playstyle and build, because you can just sit there volleying and rolling in a Healing Mist while you're applying the detonations. And the actual Healing Mist jar thing will block certain Kemono attacks, so it gives you that little essence of safety, which is incredibly useful, and basically,
it's all coming together.
Finally then, the big payoff for going the human side of things is Celestial Breath, giving us free Karakuri thread every 10 seconds or so, which, given that we're constantly using 3-thread costing gliders, is an absolute must-have to keep this playstyle, this rotation of damage going. So that's what we've got, how we've got it, and why it all works together, and work together it does, for absolutely naughty explosions of damage as you fill the Kemono with the little light spikes ready for destruction. And as a little tip, when firing the volley, depending on where the Kemono is relative to you, it might well be best to deliberately move the aimer as far away as possible, so you fire it almost horizontally, which will rapidly embed into the Kemono and build up your max stacks as soon as possible. There is a limit to how many can detonate per shot, and of course they will fade over time, so don't try and do double volley, just do volley, explode, volley, explode. Remember, what makes this whole thing happen is that when you land from the glider, you land in level 2 bolster and could just immediately volley again, and that is wonderful. And you have seen and are seeing in the Ember Plume example how, well, firstly, utterly destroyed the Ember Plume gets, but just how good it is to be rolling while volleying, dodging the attacks coming at you while continuing to set up for the big pop of damage. And because we are using gliders so much, on top of having that escape when you first grab onto one, you're now flying above the Kemono in the battlefield, and a lot of Kemono will struggle to hit you with a lot of their moveset while you're above them, so this build has inbuilt safety when combined with this playstyle that it supports, and I cannot express enough just how A, fun it is to play, and B, powerful it is to use. So that said then, all that is remaining is the basic Karakuri, of course the glider, and then we want the box, the spring, and the harpoon, so we can use the chain trap, and the ballista to lock down Kemono for even easier volleys and detonations. It also lets us put ballista down, which again we can hide behind, that will fire and flinch the Kemono while we're volleying into it, and that works out really lovelily. Other than that then, ladies and gentlemen, of course there is other ways to build the bow. You can build it around the level 1 rapid fire as you dodge around, build it around the level 2 vertical for the bigger explosion, but quite simply it just doesn't do as much damage per time, nor is it as easy to flow with as the volley into glider cycle that this build supports and makes pop, just as it makes the Kemono go pop. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. And until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.